Hello, everyone. Are you as weary of this lesson as I am? Because it's now the third time we're trying this. I don't know. Anyway, hello, it's Taco. Happy Friday. We're talking science today. And in particular, we're talking about energy. Let's get this a little closer so you can see the... There we go. So you can see the full poster here. But today we're talking about energy. And energy we've talked about in the fall as far as electricity and heat and light and that kind of a thing. And this idea that energy doesn't just get created out of nowhere and doesn't just get destroyed and doesn't go away. Energy is something that is constantly getting sort of transformed and moved from one form to another. You know, you think about the burning of coal from a power plant getting converted into electricity, which gets converted into light, which gets converted into heat from that light bulb, and this is also true in the natural world in the way that organisms use energy to survive. And it is cyclical and keeps getting converted and reused and recycled. There are three types of organisms that we're going to go over today. The first one right here is producers. Now, producers are special. They're what we generally consider to be plants. But producers are special in that they don't need any other living organisms to survive. They don't consume another living organism. They make their own food using energy sources like the sun, or there are some like deep ocean plants that use the heat from the earth. They use geothermal heat to make their energy. That, combined with nutrients from the soil and water and things like that, allows producers to grow. Producers are really important because if we didn't have organisms that made their own food, you just have those guys over there just eating each other, and we would run out of organisms really fast. So producers are extremely important in that way. Most commonly, producers are plants that will photosynthesize. They have special parts of their cells called chloroplasts, which take in energy from the sun and convert it into energy for themselves. Our next group are consumers. What we think of most often is our animals, our animal world. And consumers need to consume another living thing in order to survive. This can be herbivores who only eat plant matter and they're consuming producers. This can be carnivores like that shark down there who only eat meat. They eat other consumers, right? Or it can be omnivores like humans who eat a mix of both. But the key with consumers is they must consume other living things. They can't make their own food like producers can. Okay. The last one I want to talk about are decomposers. Decomposers are very important. They also consume organic matter, but they do it in a little bit of a different way. Rather than churning out using the bulk of that energy to survive, decomposers actually use some, but then what they do is they convert that dead organic matter, dead plants, dead animals, and they convert that organic matter into humus, which is packed with nutrients that help our producers grow. Okay, without decomposers, producers would not nearly be as successful at surviving, right? Which would have an impact on our consumers who use those producers for food. So this is the circle and the cycle and the flow of energy is all connected in the natural world. And we're going to look at that right now. So I got my penguin suit out of the way. So here's our flow of energy. Okay, we've got the sun. We've got, we need a producer. I'm going to draw a little leaf here. This little... There's a quick little leaf there. Okay. We have our consumers over here. We've got our cow. We've got our cat. Well, either a tiger or a stripy house cat, however you want to think about it. And we've got our decomposers down here in the form of an earthworm, represented by an earthworm. So let's think about the flow of energy. Okay. Starting at the sun, right? There's only one of these groups that can take energy from the sun and use it for survival, and that's our producers. Right? If I had a green Sharpie, I'd color it in green because that's the color of chlorophyll, the chemical that allows plants to photosynthesize. So that energy coming from the sun going to our producers. Okay. From there, producers get eaten by our consumers. Right? Can consumers eat other consumers? You bet they can. So we're going to actually do a little mini circle here. Cows don't eat themselves, obviously. We're referring to the whole group of consumers. Can consumers eat decomposers? Sure, we see that often, right? With any animal that eats smaller insects or, birds eating worms, that kind of a thing, right? So decomposers can give their energy to consumers by being consumed, right? Now, how do the decomposers get energy, right? Well, living organisms have to die in order for our decomposers to get energy, but then the decomposers take that organic matter and use it to survive. So both consumers and producers decompose. All right. Then after our decomposers have used that dead organic matter to survive, their byproduct, their waste, is packed with nutrients that the producers then use. So we actually have to go decomposers to producers. And I'm going to put a little note here via humus. Right? So the flow of energy in an ecosystem is not as simple as just a circle, right? There's lots of things interconnected here. And when we remove one group of organisms, or we have less of one group of organisms, it affects all the other populations, right? If we take decomposers out of the mix here, what will happen to that flow, right? Producers can still get energy from the sun. Consumers can still eat producers. Consumers can still eat other consumers. When those organisms die, if there's no decomposers around to convert that matter into nutrients, our producers can't be as successful. And that has an impact on our consumers as well, right? If there's less stuff to eat, there can be fewer consumers surviving, right? Just like we take out the producers as well, same thing. Now, only the consumers that eat other consumers can be successful, right? We take out the consumers, plants will run wild, and the decomposers will have plant matter to consume. But with consumers out of the picture, different organisms in the plant family can thrive where others can't, right? So it can drastically change the organisms in an ecosystem. And we'll go more into this when in future weeks we start to talk about food webs and we start to look at specific ecosystems like the kelp forest or the rainforest or the desert where organisms are really working in balance in order for everybody to survive and thrive that lives there. And if one organism has a sudden growth in population, it affects everybody else. Or if one organism has a sudden drop in population, it affects everyone else. Or if the climate changes so drastically that the what's called the range of tolerance of organisms, they can't survive in that ecosystem anymore, then all of the organisms are affected. Right. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. The main goal of today is to really think about this idea that energy in the natural world is always being transferred and converted from organism to organism, that all organisms need energy to survive, and that we can track the flow of energy and see how different organisms help each other to survive. All right, everybody. Thank you for being patient with this lesson. It looks like we're going to get through the whole thing. Thank goodness. Exit ticket will be up on Google Classroom shortly. Reminder, there is no Instagram live lesson today. We will postpone that until Monday. There is no Harry Potter chapter today as well. That next one will be on Monday. Have a good rest of the day. Turn in your daily schoolwork log and have a wonderful weekend. Try and relax. It's supposed to be amazing weather, so get outside as much as you can safely while physical distancing, and have a wonderful rest of the day.